Hello and welcome back. In this episode, we are going to learn about the first steps for a PDO. What is a PDO? I do not know. Let's find out.
All right, welcome back. We have a lot to cover in this video, so no intro this time. Let's just dive right in. I will open Table Plus, access our database, and yeah, in the last video, we created this post table. But of course, the end goal is to figure out how to query this table from our PHP. And query is sort of the key word. To do that, we need to write an SQL or SQL query. We'll do our first one together. Select star from posts. And I can
This means select everything from posts.
run that, or you can see I can press Command Return on the Mac. Okay, and sure enough, here's the results. All of the records from the post table. So let's break this down. Select is a keyword. It's obvious. What do you want? Give me this. But what is star? Well, that means everything. But I could change it. I could say, well, give me only the ID column or the title column. Let's try it out. Select ID from posts. Now you can see I get all of the records from the post table, but only the ID for each one. Or I could say, give me only the title. Or
Okay, wait. Let's try this. In the post table, and I go to a query over here. No query, right? Click to add a new query. Okay. How about you know what? I don't think this would be even necessary, but if I can, this is fine. It's in the data columns. There's no query here. Is this an open SQL editor? Yeah. Select star from posts. Okay, let's run it. Yeah, I got everything. Cool. So you need to click on this, the SQL editor. How about just the title from, and pressing Control Enter. Did not work. Yeah, Control Enter. Oh yeah, it did work. Sorry. Oh, just ID. Amazing. Cool.
or I could use a comma-separated list. Select ID and title from the post table.
Nice.
Or in this case, because that's all I have, it's functionally equivalent to select star. Now I could also add a where clause. Maybe I only want this blog post here. Okay, well, let's use that primary key or the unique identifier. Select star from posts where the ID equals 1. And now I get that single result, or 2. Pretty.
Let's combine these two. Let's select title from post where ID equals 2, semicolon, my second post. Lovely, let's go.
Pretty cool, and more importantly, pretty easy to write, which I like.
Yeah.
All right, let's now switch to my editor. Now, of course, later we will organize and refactor our code. But yeah, when you're first learning, it's totally fine to dump and throw everything within index.php. All right, so we need to connect to our MySQL database. And to do that, we're going to use something known as PDO, or PHP Data Objects. I'll warn you, this can be a little confusing. And honestly, in real life for working developers, you don't write this sort of code too much because it's already been done for you when you use libraries and frameworks. But nonetheless, it's important to at least figure out the basics, and then later you can use what's known as libraries or abstractions.
Okay, so to give you an example, Laravel has this thing called Eloquent ORM, wherein I almost never touch the database, and therefore what he's talking about in frameworks is that's an example of what I just said, Laravel Eloquent ORM. but it helps to understand how it works under the hood. So let's get into the weeds of it.
Okay, so the first step is to initialize PDO. To do this, we need to create a new instance of the PDO class. Sounds very programmery and very confusing. And even worse, the idea of classes and objects and instances are entirely new to us. We haven't yet reviewed it. So here's what I'll do. I will give you the 60-second rapid-fire version so you understand it, and then I promise later we will cover it in great detail. Okay, so we can define a class like so. And you can almost think of a class as a blueprint for anything. Now, initially, we often say look for the nouns. So the 101, you're 12 years old example, which can be helpful sometimes, is a person. Well, we could have a blueprint of a person. And one person has red hair and is named Bob. Another person may have brown hair and is named Julia. But they're still people, right? And that's the entire point. All people share similar characteristics and behavior. So what? A person has ears. A person has nose and toes and hair, or maybe not hair. People have similar behavior, like we breathe in, we breathe out. I hope we do that. A person can kick a ball, potentially. A person can move their hands. So a class is sort of like the blueprint for what a person is and what a person can do. So let's start nice and easy. A person can have a name. And what I'll do is I will start with this visibility keyword called public. For now, this is a little higher level than where we currently are, so I prefer you ignore it. But if you want to research it, it's just a way to declare visibility of this property to the outside world. But yeah, for now, just come along for the ride and we'll explain it more in the future.
Okay.
Name. And I never want to do something like this because then think about it. I'm now saying the blueprint of a person is that all people have a name of Jeffrey. And of course, that's not true.
That's not
so I will simply define it like so. What else? A person has an age. And then a person has behavior, like breathe. So I could define a function called breathe, just like you're used to. But notice how for this function, or actually functions within a class are called methods, which can be a little confusing, but they're still functions. Anyways, notice there's no visibility before function. So do we have to do this? And the answer is, well, yes and no. No, you don't have to do it because technically the default visibility for a method or a function within a class is public. So to some extent, it's redundant. Now, having said that, it's just common practice to declare visibility these days. So even though public is the default, I would recommend just get in the practice of being explicit. And as you'll learn in the future, there are other visibilities like protected and private. But for now, we're just going to make everything open to the outside world. Okay, so let me give this a quick reformat to clean it up. And when we breathe, well, what should we do there? Well, remember, functions are the verbs of the programming world, including methods. So why don't we just say echo, and to start, I will write breathing. All right, so how do we work with this person class? Because remember, I did say it's sort of like a blueprint, right? And just like for a home construction, you'll have blueprints, right? But then you could have any number of homes that you build off of those blueprints. And maybe this one is brown and this one is white, but it's still working off the same blueprint. Well, you could refer to those homes as implementations or instances of the blueprint. And we're going to do the exact same thing here.
Pause. That was way more than 60 seconds, but I wanted him to give us a quick rundown, which he did. It was very thorough. I appreciate that. Let's go to index.php, which is where we do most of our initial coding. I'm going to hide the sidebar by pressing Ctrl B. Firstly, I want to quote him and say functions are the verbs of the programming world. Then classes are the nouns of the programming world. Let's go. Let's be complete over there. This is so useful, Jeffrey. Thank you. This helps put so many things in perspective. Okay. Now he created a class person. I believe by convention classes have the first letter capital. then it had public name, then public age, then public function not capital breathe, which took in nothing and produced echo. Let's say PHP. Whew. Okay, is that mostly correct? Public function breathe, name and age, class is person, and of course I forget to put the semicolon. Right. Cool. So this is a noun, or this is a class called person. Let's go.
Person equals a new person. Just like that, with a new keyword. All right, next let's set the name and age of the person. Person name equals John Doe. And right here, this isn't ideal for a video. This arrow is actually a dash and then a greater than sign. But I'm using a fancy font that turns it into an arrow. But yeah, on your own, you may not see that. Just put them next to each other. Okay, so notice I'm referencing this property, but I don't type it out like a normal variable. Notice that I omitted the $sign. All right, let's do it again. Person.
Let's try this. So let's say Jerry is a person. Do we have to put a $sign there? No, we don't, but we have to put a initialization sign. We have to call it. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Okay, let's say $Jerry. This font, by the way, which he mentions, the dash greater than sign, it's called Fira code, the one that I'm using. There's multiple. I showed this in a previous video. I'll show it again. Nerdfonts.com. Go to Nerdfonts. So all of these fonts, you can download this and set it as your default font. I'm using Fira code Nerd font. So just download this, install this to your system, Windows, Mac, Linux, everything works. And go to system settings by going to file, preferences, and settings. Search for font, and here it says editor font family. Change this to Fira code and it will work. So by default I think it's mono something, mono space. I don't know what it is, but I'll leave that be. So whatever it is, change this to Fira code and save it and close, and there you go. So let's continue here. Jerry's name is Jerry Tommy for the 90s kids here. Okay. And let's say Jerry is 13 years old. Jerry's age is 13. Let's go.
Age equals, how about 25? Okay, so now let's use our handy dandy DD function to die and dump this person and inspect it. All right, switch back and we'll give this a refresh. And oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Just for a moment, I need to comment out the router. All right, let's do it again. And there we go. So now notice an instance of a class is referred to as an object. And for this object, the name is set to John Doe and the age is 25.
Man, this is so useful. Jerry, I'm sorry, Jeffrey keeps dropping wisdom nuggets like that, like it's nothing. An instance of a class is called an object. This is so useful. This one sentence condenses an entire paradigm of programming, object-oriented programming. Objects are nothing but instances of classes. Sorry, this might seem basic, but it's fundamental, foundational stuff. It's very, very useful. I had to point that out. an instance of a class is called an object. So Jerry here is an object.
Them, it's very similar to an associative array, but instead of doing this syntax, I once again use the arrow syntax that we learned about. So person, name, and that should give me John Doe. Change it to age, that'll give me 25. And then why don't we call some of the behavior on this class? Breathe, all right? Breathe, and call it just like a normal function. Okay, come back, give this a refresh, and now, yeah, I have called that function, or called that method. Pretty cool. And even better, within our class, we can interact with these instance properties. So for example, what if I wanted to say John Doe is breathing? I could say echo this, and this is a keyword that refers to the current instance. I think of it as this instance. All right, this name, and then a space, is breathing. Okay, so now, because we're calling echo, I don't need dd as well, so I can remove that. And let's give it a shot. Come back, refresh, John Doe is breathing. And yeah, I can create as many...
Dude, this is so useful. I'll say... can I... So since I'm an echo, can I $sign this name is... or says... Can I do that? Jerry... Sorry, I still need the dollar. Jerry breathing. Breathe. Let me comment out the router. Temporarily, of course. Amazing. I don't need the concatenation. I can just do this. I've seen people prefer to put this inside curly braces. I don't know why that is, but let's see if that makes any difference. Probably won't, but I guess it's cleaner. Okay. Let me die dump Jerry as well. I don't like saying that for one of my favorite cartoon characters, but let's say, let me dd Jerry. I'll do that after this. So dd Jerry. Let's dd all of Jerry. Okay. His name and his age. If I just you know what, echo HR and echo HR. So what I'm doing is adding a horizontal line between each of these. dd Jerry, his name, then I'll duplicate this and I'll have Jerry's age. Jerry says few, this is the entire object. Jerry, Tommy, did I put 3 R's? Okay, and his age is 13, integer. Yeah, I'll just say J-E-R, Jerry Tommy. Okay, cool. Yeah, works. Let me just clean this up. Go back to Jerry breathing.
Instances of this class as I want. One named John, another named Jane, who is 45. But again, they all work off the same blueprint. So yeah, that's your 2-minute classes 101 introduction. Trust me, we will go into this in quite a bit more detail in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to work. All of that to show you that to connect to MySQL, we need to create a new instance of the PDO class. Now you can see this class expects an argument called DSN. DSN stands for data source name. Again, this stuff is very confusing. Think of it as a connection string, a string that declares your connection to the database. So what port, what host, what database name, what character set, things like that. Let's define it now. And I'll warn you, it's a little wonky to define, so we'll do it together. First, what...
Pause. It'll probably be localhost port, whatever it is, I think 3000 something, 30 or 3060 or something. And then root, then empty password, and my app, something like that.
What are we connecting to? MySQL. Next, what host are we connecting to? And you'll remember in the last episode, I said to remember this, the host is localhost, and then I can divide these key value pairs with a semicolon. So the port is 3306.
Okay.
And yeah, just in case you forgot how to find that, you can, I think, click right up here. And yeah, host 127.0.0.1 is localhost.
Yeah.
And then the port, maybe you have to close this out. Right click and go to edit. Here we go. Port 3306. Here's the username. Here's the database. Okay, cool. So let's go back and now declare our database name. DB name equals my app. And then finally, I'm going to, as a good practice, declare the character set. Char or car set equals, and we basically want UTF-8, but a better version of it. So I will do MB4.
Right.
Again, this is kind of high level stuff. It declares how.
I have MB16, I believe. I selected MB16, I believe. To find that out, go to show databases, my app. It is open. Okay, how do I find the information about this database? Show connections, yeah. Okay, I was already connected. Close this. That's fine. Let me do this at least. Okay, I'm going to remove this. DSN equals, sorry, what? Yeah, DSN equals something. Then I need to create a new instance of a PDO. Right. I'll probably need to assign it to a variable. New PDO takes in a DSN. Oh, it takes in a username and password as well, right? Okay. Okay, so let me do this. DSN username is root, and my super secret password, please don't tell anyone, is also root. Just let this be our little secret. Okay, thanks. Now MySQL localhost port this. MySQL SQL local, sorry, host equals localhost port equals 3306 3306 DB name my app, name equals my app. I'm not going to use the char set because I think mine was, I'm not sure, but I think it was UTF-8 MB16. What that simply means is settings. Now where can I find the database details? Not this. Close tab. What's this? Oh, this is the history. This is show metrics. So anything menu. Okay, cool. view. Okay, let me increase the font size. Control plus plus. It's not working. Interesting. Connection. Edit. Do you want to close this worksheet too? Yeah, I do. Okay, so this is root. Stolen keychain. Okay, it doesn't tell me the database char set, but I'm gonna simply skip that because he said it's optional, and anyway this is not something we use day to day, but I'm pretty sure it's UTF-8 MB16.
How characters are encoded if we're not working with English or something like that, you don't really need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will save this as PDO.
Told ya, he's gonna assign it to a variable.
All right, next, we should probably handle situations where PHP was unable to connect. And to do that, we would use something known as a try-catch statement. But again, it's a new thing that we haven't yet learned. So forgive me, but I'm going to skip it just for now. But we'll cover it later.
I forgive you.
Anyways,
Yes.
I'm ready to prepare a new query. Prepare. Yeah, you'll remember what was our query up here. Select star, let's do this one. Select star from post. So I will copy that, switch back, and paste it in. Prepare this new query. So yeah, we are effectively preparing this query to send to MySQL where it will be executed. So we often call this variable statement. It is a prepared query statement. And then again, I said we send it to MySQL to execute. So I will call a method named execute. And remember, method, function, kind of interchangeable, but the proper term is a function on a class is called method, but it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so now the only remaining step is to fetch the results. So I can say post equals statement, and let's use fetch all. I want to fetch all of the results as opposed to a single result or a single record. Okay, so cross your fingers. Let's pass this to...
Okay, pause. Lot to take in over here. Let me write this down and walk you through this. Try and walk you through this. He did not add the username and password, but I did, so because VS Code told me to. So let me see if mine still works. So the PDO looks fine. Statement, I need to make a statement. Statement equals PDO query, right? Prepare. The query is select star from posts and execute it, then fetch it. I think I can chain this. I can chain this method, but I shouldn't, should I? Right? I shouldn't. Statement execute. Okay. State. I'll show you what I mean by chaining. Execute. It literally just means putting, instead of doing this, I can just do execute. You know what, I'm feeling adventurous. Let me do that. Okay. Then posts equals statement fetch all. I think I can posts. Just do this. Let's see if it works. Fetch all. Does that work? It won't. So statement is this, then posts. Oh yeah, because the fetch all comes from method on the statement object and not the object that's executed up there. I hope that makes sense. Posts. I'll explain it again. Statement fetch up. I think so. What up? Why are you yelling? Object not found. Okay, so type object is bool, so this is true or false. So let's not do this. Statement dot execute. Statement slash execute is here, right? So statement execute. There you go. Okay, I guess I was wrong. I can't chain it. Okay, so I have posts, and let me double D the posts. Let's see if that works. Fingers crossed. Lot of variables here. It did work. Let's go. I'm genuinely surprised. I had no idea because there's so many moving parts here. So this was basically going off of VS Code's documentation. Then I tried to do some fancy business over here and then decided against it when VS Code yelled at me. And now it just works. It just works. I love this. Let's go.
To DD and see what we come up with. So I give it a run, and actually it fails. So we screwed up.
Oh wow, because you didn't add username password. I just followed what VH Code told me.
Access denied for user at localhost. Yeah, I forgot to provide the username. And you'll remember that the username is root. So I could do that as part of our DSN, or I could even do it as the second argument, like so. So if I come back and give this a refresh, now it works.
Let's go.
Or again, you can do it directly within the DSN, like this. User equals root. And if there's a password, you would provide that as well. Okay, come back, refresh, and now it works. All right, so have a look at what we get in response. I have an array of arrays, where each item is a record that came from MySQL. So notice we have a look here. The first record has an ID of 1 and a title of my first blog post. Sure enough, an ID of 1 and a title of my first blog post. But notice we have a little bit of duplication here. Notice here's a key of ID and then 0, and then here's a key of title and then 1. So notice it's kind of giving us both versions, a keyed version and an indexed version. But really in most cases you don't want that. So there's a number of ways to do that, but for now I'm going to declare how I want to fetch the results like this. PDO, fetch, and why don't we say associative array. Give me the results as an associative array rather than indexed.
New syntax.
So now notice if I come back and refresh, we will remove that duplication. And this is probably what you want. So now to wrap up, of course we have...
Okay, pause. New syntax. Let's go. So I need this as PDO, and what's this called is a facade. The two colons, I believe. Yeah. So 4 dots over here, 2 colons. Associative, right? So fetch so. Did that work? Yeah, it did. I got the int. What? I got the int. I got the ID and then the title. ID and the title ID2, and then title is second post. Okay, cool. Let's go. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I recap? Yeah.
Fetch, and why don't we say associative array? Give me the results as an associative array rather than indexed. So now notice if I come back and refresh, we will remove that duplication. And this is probably what you want.
Yeah.
So now to wrap up, of course we have way more to do, but to wrap up this video, we can play around by, we'll do it inline here, and we could say echo a list item, and then the title of the post, and then a closing list item. And with any luck, we have the results.
Wow.
Okay, so I know we covered a lot here. There's a lot of confusing stuff, and there's more to come. But there wasn't that many lines of code. We figured out this confusing connection string. We created our first instance of a class. we prepared a new query to send to MySQL. MySQL executed that query, and then we fetched all of the results, and then we looped over them and displayed the results. So yeah, more to do here, but you're making really good progress. Stay tuned.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. Let's do this. So we have the posts. I'm gonna echo h1 tag. h1 say welcome to my blog. Right, h1. Then I will for each posts as post. Remember, this can be anything. This can be Lulu. This can be Fifi. I'm gonna go post echo you know what, I'll put this in an ordered list. Echo ul and I'll echo close the ul. Here I'll need to, let's just do post before fetching anything. Welcome to my blog, post. I need to add this as a list item. Yeah, now it'll be post like this. Okay, cool. What do I need here? Post title, right? So I'm gonna say dollar post title. Okay. For safety, I'm gonna put this here. Let's go. My first post, my second post. Amazing. Let's go. Cool. So this was a recap. This was basically connecting to a database. Let me recap this. What we did was we created a new PDO object from the PDO class. So this is the object, this is the class. It requires a DSN. DSN is database something, I forgot. I think it was database structure, I don't know, string, okay, I forgot, sorry. So whatever this is sort of like the key. These are the instructions. This is the map to the database. Essentially, we're using MySQL on localhost port 3306, and the name of our database is my app. To log into this, you of course need a username and a password. A username and password are root for me. This can be blank for you. If it is, leave that be. Then by the way, you know this when you set up MySQL, so it has nothing to do with Table Plus, DBeaver, PHP MyAdmin, or whatever else you use. But when you installed MySQL on your system is when you will be asked to enter your username and your password. So I chose to enter root here. Then after you have the PDO object from the PDO class, you call the prepare method, and prepare method essentially sends a SQL query, which is select everything from posts. Then you execute that query that you have prepared over here. After executing it, you store the results, you fetch all of the results and store them in the variable called posts, and you store them as an associative array by using this facade, by using these 4 dots, so double colons here, that are available in the PDO class. So PDO fetch assoc or fetch associative array. Then essentially I'm just creating a h1 tag and then an unordered list, looping over each post which was returned to us as an array of 2. So both the posts as post and then post title over here. Whew, quite a lot. Love it. Thank you so much for watching another episode and learning with me. Huge shout out to Jeffrey Way from Laracast, and the link to this entire series, which is free on YouTube by the way, and it's also free on laracast.com. Both of these links are included in this description to this video. Thanks for watching. You have a nice day ahead.